We're going to look at solubility again in just a little bit more detail. So with solubility of covalent compounds, the water has hydrogen bonding going on because the oxygen is bound to an N, an O, or an F. The hydrogen is bound to an N, O, or F. So that hydrogen can then form a bond with a lone non-bonding pair of electrons, and that will be hydrogen bonding. So you can see here the hydrogen is bound to an O, and there's a non-bonding pair of electrons. There are pairs there, and there is actually non-bonding pair of electrons here, and so that can bind here as well, and in vice versa, that's forming hydrogen bonds here. So these are quite small, plus they're polar, so they're very soluble. You can have very large proteins that have polar bonds on them as well, and so that will also be soluble. And you can also have very, very small molecules that are completely non-polar, and because they're small, they'll also be quite soluble in water too, but not as well as something that's both small and has polar bonds. Now, ionic compounds are slightly different in that they have these positive and negative charges. So they have this ionic bonds that are going on, so the connection between a positive and negative ion. And what happens with the water is sometimes if the water's bonds are strong enough, it can pull it away. So you can just instead of having this connection here, so this connection will have a connection of 6, I do believe. So it's a coordination number 6, which means it has 6 opposite charges to it. However, if the water bond is actually more, so even though these are only partial charges of slightly negative and slightly positive here, or in the opposite sense here, slightly positive and slightly negative here, they can be completely surrounded with waters and perhaps have more, and it can also depend on temperature too. If there's more kinetic energy, this will become unstable and move more, and the waters will also have more energy to hit as well. And so these are all factors in helping something dissolve. And so what's happening with the solubility of ionic compounds is the ion dipole bond is overcoming the ion-ion bond, which can be helped with temperature, and it's also helped because you can get quite a lot of waters surrounding one of these charges. And so that explains why not all salts are soluble, because for some of them the connection is much, much stronger than the new connection with being surrounded with lots and lots of waters.